You know, Matt Damon bought a zoo once, and you know what else bought a zoo? The box office this week, because today we're talking about not only one, but two movies that kind of have something to do with animals, and that is Strays and The Blue Beetle. Now, if you don't know, Strays, it's a movie that not a lot of people probably are talking about too much. It's a very much silly comedy that came out right now, and it's centered around, it's all live action, it's all people and real animals and stuff, but the animals are actually voiced by a bunch of comedic actors. Like, we have Will Ferrell as the main dog. During this, Will Ferrell's character, he gets away from his owner tries to get rid of him, and then he meets all these other stray dogs, and they kind of teach him the ways of a stray dog. And Jamie Foxx being a very funny, like, he's been a stray for a while, and he's showing him the ropes and showing him how everything works and how to get food and all the silly stuff that you kind of are expecting from this dog comedy. And there's lots of dog jokes. If you're a dog or animal lover, you're gonna get a kick out of this. It's really silly. All the comedians in here are really funny. Like I said, we have people like Jamie Foxx, Will Ferrell, Randall Parks, you know, from like Fresh Off the Boat. He's been in the Marvel movies. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I mean, I think he was actually Kim Jong-un in the that one movie. I forget what it's called. So lots of really funny people in here. Isla Fisher's in here. She was in like Wedding Crashers and stuff like that. There are so many just hilarious people in here. And the movie, for the most part, is really funny. It's not like my favorite comedy of the year by any means, but it's a solid like 3 to a 3.5 in my opinion. It's really funny. Like I said, the story is very much what you would expect coming out of this. It's a dog who wants to get revenge against his bad owner, and the owner, played by Will Forte, is also really funny. It's not really that memorable in some ways. There are a lot of funny moments in here, but overall, I don't think it's going to be a movie that a lot of people talk about at the end of the year. But if you want to go out and get a few laughs, this one will definitely get you covered. And I can honestly see myself watching this again sometime soon, showing it to some people. But so don't get your expectations too big. If you love comedies, you'll probably get a kick out of this. Like I said, it's not my favorite, but maybe it's yours. Let me know in the comments. I love to talk about this movie specifically because there's a lot to kind of talk about in some ways, because there's some silly stuff in here. And I'd like to know if you saw the trailer before you watched it, because that kind of ruined it for me. I think a lot of the funny moments were kind of spoiled in the trailer in some ways, but that's kind of how people sell comedies these days. And if it works, it works. But I really wish there was just a little bit more, and maybe they pushed the envelope just a little bit more. But the effects they have in here with the dogs and everything, I thought looked pretty good for the most part. There are some movies out there that are very low budget, and they try to animate the dogs talking to a human voice.
Mom, I asked Rory to take me outside, and he's not doing it, and you said he's always supposed to.
You don't have to animate the mouths. At least not like that.
In here, I think they did it pretty well, and the effects with like I think like a hawk picks up one of the dogs at one point. It's really funny. Like I said, it's a lot of funny moments in here, but it's not something I would really remember at the end of the year. It's just one of those studio comedies that I hope a lot of people go see and they check out, because a lot of studio comedies don't really make a lot in the box office. I mean, we had No Hard Feelings earlier that did pretty well. Joyride did okay, but I'd really love to see a lot of these comedies do better in the theaters. But maybe this will get larger legs on when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray and streaming and all that stuff, and I kind of hope it does, because I think there's an audience for it. But now we're going to move on to The Blue Beetle, which I honestly don't know a whole lot about going into it. I know a little bit about DC Comics, like Batman, Superman, but I haven't really ever delved deep into that one. I know more about Marvel, but honestly, I don't even know that much about Marvel. I'm not a huge comic book guy, but going into this, I knew the kid from Cobra Kai, Zolo, I think, Zolo something. I forget his last name, unfortunately, but he's great in Cobra Kai, and he was fantastic as this character in this. I forget his name right off the top of my head, but he's the Blue Beetle, and he was fantastic. I mean, he brought in a lot of different emotion. I mean, as someone who is also a first-time graduate in my family, the pressure of that is very difficult, especially when you can't find a job, and I loved seeing that, as well as bringing in all the different Latino culture and different things into this that didn't necessarily have to be here, but it made it feel more memorable and just, I don't know, it felt more layered in a way, and it kind of had more to grab onto. And does it pull a lot of stuff from like Spider-Man and other Marvel movies? Of course it does, because those movies work really well, so why wouldn't you borrow from those? But I think there's enough originality in here that I think this was a really great movie. I had a great time watching it. The supporting cast was also really good, all of his family around him, which this movie is definitely about family and heritage and honoring your family and kind of just showing how important family is to people. And you have characters like George Lopez being his crazy uncle, who was super hilarious throughout the whole movie. He has a truck named Taco. It's also a Tacoma, so I thought that was a really funny joke. And there was a lot of silly stuff in here, but also the action was really good. They did it's a lot of effects, obviously. I mean, special effects in superhero movies are a must, but they did a lot of cool fighting and like long takes and different shots in here that looked really good. So this is definitely one of the better DC movies that's come out in recent memory especially, because like I liked Shazam 2 for the most part, but this is way better than that. This honestly might be one of my favorite DC movies right now. I still need to see The Flash, but it's my favorite of the year so far, and honestly might be my favorite of the DCEU right now, like not including the Suicide Squad or the Batman, but I really enjoyed this movie, and right now I had it a 3.5 walking out of the theater, but I bumped it up to a 4 earlier, and I stand by it. I really enjoyed this movie, and I think you will too, so if you're interested at all, I saw an IMAX, which the effects in here really work, and kind of lend to that big screen and everything. The sound is really good. Just all that is a lot of fun, and I think this is a really good movie to check out. Like I said, 4 out of 5. Let me know what you think and which one should win at the box office. I mean, right now, my recommendation, I would recommend Blue Beetle a little bit more, but you can't really go wrong with either of them. So let me know which one you picked or which one you like more, or what movies you want me to review next, because I would love to just review anything you want me to, and subscribe to the channel, comment anything you'd like, and I will see you next time, maybe even at the movies.